welcome to Diecast Restos. My name's Jason, and this week I'm taking this chipped 1970s Majorette Ford Capri in the hope of giving it a proper period makeover. It was introduced in 1978, the same year that the Mark II Capri it is replicating went out of production, immediately making it look out of date. The Mark II was quite similar to the Mark I in the looks department, while the Mark III that replaced it was far more aggressive looking with its Aeroflow full-width grille, but more on that shortly. Majorette's model uses all of its components to complete the external look. There's the white plastic section which forms the roof and rear bumper bar, the tinted transparency which also provides the headlights, an interior piece that offers a retainer for the tow hook, the black dashboard piece which also doubles up as the grille, complete with Ford lettering, then the body which looks more like a pickup truck when disassembled, and finally the base which provides the hook for towing and a front air dam. It's quite comprehensive and well thought out, I think. As always with majorettes of this era, it has wonderful spongy suspension which I will be retaining without modification or lowering for my own personal preference. Blue models like mine here were the final issues of the casting, released at number 251 in Serie 200 in 1982 and 83. These could be found with no tampos on the bonnet, or with white and dark blue graphics teamed with a barely visible blue the same colour as the paint, rather oddly, the same as mine, or a more visible paler blue. The casting started life in 1978, painted green with a black roof. 1979 issues were available in orange or white. The orange cars had either a black, light grey or white roof, and the window tints could be yellow or green. Some orange models had black S tampos to the sides. White versions of the casting all had green tinted transparencies, red roofs, and Radio Monte Carlo decals to the bonnet and sides. For 1980, the bodies were recoloured to red, teamed with a white roof, green tinted windows, and white S tampos to the sides. 1981 issues retained the red painted body and could have white, black, or light grey roofs. Transparencies varied from yellow to green tints. Production then ended with the aforementioned blue casting like mine. By working on this Mark II Capri, I now have a full house on Ford's European pony car, having completed the Mark I as my 200th episode in 2022, and I finished up the Mark III in 2021. Taking its name from the Italian island, the Capri was designed to be the European Mustang equivalent. It was even going to be called the Colt, if it weren't for Mitsubishi trademarking the name in 1962. Ford brought in Philip T. Clark to design the car, having been involved in the Mustang's development. The mechanicals were taken from the Mark II Cortina family saloon, but with a fastback coupe body shell being placed on top. Ford were keen for it to be affordable and desirable to a broad spectrum of buyers by handing it an array of engine choices. German factories produced cars with engines tailored to the mainland European market, with Tauner's V4 engines available in 1.3, 1.5 and 1.7 litre displacements. The UK arm offered Kent Inline 4 engines in 1.3 and 1.6 sizes. At the top of the range were the 2 litre Essex V4 or the Cologne V6. Production commenced in November 1968, and it was unveiled in January 1969 at the Brussels Motor Show, with sales commencing the following month. By the end of the year, increased displacements had been made available, with 2.3 litre Cologne V6s in Germany or 3 litre Essex V6s in the UK. It was well received, so Ford introduced the Capri to the Australian and later North American and South African markets. It was also sold in Japan. Ford revised the car in 1971 following sales of 400,000 cars in its first 2 years. It saw suspension upgrades, new seating, enlarged taillights and larger headlamps, with quad lamps available on the 3000 GXL model. The Kent engines were replaced with the new Pinto units. From 1973, US cars received larger rubber bumpers to comply with new Department of Transport regulations. The 3.1 litre Essex V6 powered RS 3100 was released later that year for homologation purposes. After sales of 1.2 million Capris, Ford introduced the Mark II Capri in early 1974. With the oil crisis of the previous year in mind, Ford offered 1.3, 1.6 or 2 litre straight 4 engines, while the 2.3 Cologne or 3 litre Essex V6s remained an option. It could have either the 4-speed manual transmission or a new 3-speed automatic for the first time. The Mark II Capri was designed to be more suitable for day-to-day use, with a shorter bonnet, larger cabin, and in keeping with the rest of mainland Europe, was offered as a hatchback, making it the first Ford to receive one. Despite the shorter bonnet, the car's dimensions increased with the larger cabin. Inside, it received a new dashboard and a smaller steering wheel. Production of Capri ceased in the UK in 1976 following a decrease in sales. Also this year, 3 litre GT models gave way to 3 litre S and Ghia designations. Larger front disc brakes, a standard alternator and a front air dam were all features of the S models. The final year of Capri sales in the US would be 1977. The Mark II was mechanically similar to the Mark I, and little changed on the 1978 Mark III, making the Mark II very short-lived indeed at only 4 years. Little more than an update on its predecessor, the Mark III was visually distinct with a heavy facelift by the means of a black Aeroflow grille which spanned the width of the car and had inset quad headlamps. These were beneath a bonnet that had a strong leading edge, concealing the tops of the round headlights from some angles to give it a more aggressive look. At the rear, it had sawtooth styled light clusters that were subsequently introduced across much of Ford's European range. The existing engine options were carried over from the Mark II. They sold very well initially, but as sales began to tail off across Europe, Ford focused on the UK Capri market, where it remained popular. The decline was due in part to the rise of the hot hatchback, with sales of the Capri cannibalised by Ford's smaller Fiesta XR2, Escort XR3 and the Sierra XR4, among offerings from other manufacturers. Even in the UK, Capri sales started to take a hit. Coupes were quickly falling out of fashion. The Capri's reputation was also in decline in the UK, as the sporty coupe was one of the most stolen cars in the country, being described as at a high risk of theft by the Home Office. Here you can see that I am scraping away at this fine cast detailing of a Ghia crest and 2.3 badging. This suggests that my Capri is a 2300 model complete with a Cologne V6, meaning it would have 107 horsepower, a top speed of 111 miles per hour, and could reach 60 miles per hour in 10.6 seconds. Strangely, unlike the real car, this badge appears only on the right-hand side of the casting. I don't know if this was a simple casting error, an oversight or what. It also has Ghia wording on the rear next to the Ford lettering, while I'm now scraping away a trim line for it. Mark III Capri production ended for the European market in November 1984. It would continue to be built for the right-hand drive UK market though. The final Capri would roll off the production line bound for the UK on the 19th of December 1986. Just shy of 1.9 million were built. While production had ended, sales of Capri stock continued, with the final car being registered in November 1989. The Capri nameplate was brought back in 2024, but bears absolutely no resemblance to any of the 3 generations of the original Capri. No longer is it a sleek coupe, rather a bloated, apparently quote, compact crossover SUV. Clearly, Ford had tried to do similar with the Capri nameplate as they'd done with the Mustang Mach-E. But while that is tagged onto an existing product line, the SUV only serves to feed off of the semi-prestigious name of the Capri. To me, it is cynical. But hey, what do I know? Let's finish up on this build. These are all of the pieces of the Majorette Ford Capri puzzle. I first take the roof section and insert it. There's a small clip on the inside. Now that is in, I can put in the transparency and headlight plastic. This also clips to the roof moulding. Next up is the grille and dashboard piece, which has a hole cut into it so that it surrounds the rivet post. The interior plastic slots over the tongue cast into the rear of the body, and following that onto the tongue is the base, complete with Ghia alloy wheels to bring this build to a close. A single 3mm M2 laptop screw seals the deal. This was how my Majorette Ford Capri 2.3 Ghia looked to begin with. You know me, I'm not a fan of tinted window transparencies, but this yellow shade I can work with, particularly on a 1970s car. With the right colour scheme, I could tell that it could potentially fit in nicely, especially alongside some period correct wheels and with some of the cast detailing picked out accordingly. So let's take a look at how it has turned out. I've handed this Capri a white body with brown vinyl roof, just as it might have received from the British or German factories. With its 2.3 Ghia badging and with its left-hand drive layout, it's certainly a mainland European car. I've scratched away the paint in the areas where the detail has been cast, including all of the badges and trim lines. I've also added in the black backing for the French number plates and added colour to the rear light clusters. A beige interior acts as a transition between the white body and brown roof. The wheels are replicas of the Ford Ghia type, and so sit on this model perfectly. I've left the ride height in a natural position so that it retains its lovely soft suspension. I didn't feel any need to lower it. So tell me what you think of this custom piece down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe too. But all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.